This is a guide for not just multi-boxers, but for everybody that wants to get your graphics to be as smooth as possible. If you're running a machine that just can't handle Final Fantasy XIV, right? But for when you're multi-boxing, it's extremely important because it's extremely graphics intensive. Like I'm running, not the best, but I'm running a 2070 graphics card from NVIDIA, and I am using a i9-10850K processor from Intel. So pretty good, right? 20 cores, but both of them, on my previous versions, what I was using before that, like I couldn't run the game stable. And even when I upgraded to this setup, it was still a little choppy when I'm running it all together, as well as trying to stream, right? So if you're a solo player and you have like a little bit not as good PC, which I mean, like laptops or something similar like that, I mean, these settings should help you out, right? I'm not gonna like blather on further about this, right? So you just want to get the meat and potatoes. Meat and potatoes. All right. So let's go with your main character. You want to tone down quite a bit, but like you go with what the settings you want. But I'm talking about like your extra characters, like my Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I got 4 characters here. It's awesome. You go to character config first, right? So in character config, we are looking at. Let's see the first one. I wrote a list down, and now I'm like all fumbling here. Okay. Let's see. General. HUD. Okay, let's go with this one first. Control settings, nothing in there. There's nothing too bad that you need to fix in here. This is all meat and potatoes is good. Item settings, in here, you can change it to the top for inventory settings. This is just like a personal preference. Go with expanded instead of normal. But the real good ones is UI. If this is your second character, you don't care about these settings. If this is your main character, it might bother you. But turning off display flying text you wouldn't think of it, right? It's just numbers popping on the screen. But when there's a lot of numbers, especially like if you're in your large area, if you're doing a Fate or the Eureka or things like that, like when there's a ton of stuff going on, it's going to help a lot. Turning this off is suggested. I'll show you what they look like on my other characters. But turning this off, display text, the pop-up stuff, everything else is okay. But turning these pieces off is great. In here, there's a bunch of other stuff you don't need to have on. You can turn off. It doesn't matter. Like the mini map, if you don't need it, the guild, server info. These are really minor changes. The flying text is the big one here. Okay, everything else not as big a deal. But it's like very incremental, very very small changes. Display name settings. This is actually a big one for whatever reason, especially when there's a lot of people. You want to squish people's names down as much as possible. You want to have anybody that's not in your group to basically just either hide the name or squish the name so it's just initials or surname, even as much as you can handle. Turn it off. And then for like pets and things like that, just have it always off, but only when it's targeted you show it. Turn off minions as well for NPCs. NPCs, you kind of want to leave that stuff on, right? But in the general, on others, when you're in a big crowded area, like one of the towns, you want all this stuff as low as possible because it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense, right? It doesn't have to load that information, and it's smoother. I've seen noticeable FPS increases by turning these off. Okay, and then your last one, your log windows. The less stuff it has to log, the better for you, right? So on your other characters or your main one, turn off as much of this logging as you can, right? So on my other characters, on the battle tab, I have everything unchecked. I go to uncheck all. Like I don't need to see any of that information on other machines. Like I'm not machines on the same machine, but I want it to be as minimal as possible, like as little as possible. So, give me an example. I'm swapping over to another one, right? Let's see what they got. I'm gonna like totally like call myself out here, but right, my log window, battle settings, like everything is turned off, right? Actually, that one. See, battle, everything on this one is turned off. Boom, nothing there, right? I don't need that information. I don't need it logging it at all. It just takes up space. So that's the whole character settings. I think, yeah, that's the whole thing. The last thing I want to note in the character settings area is let's go here one more time. Is in the UI settings for party list. This is a multi-boxing specific, right? But in the party list, it's really nice. You can have party list sorting, so your character team layout is always the same, right? And you can choose the style you want. If you want to be the tank first, and then DPS, and then healer, or you can even mix it up however you want, whatever order. But it makes it so they're always uniform no matter what, especially when you do a dungeon or whatnot. Super important. It's also nice for solo players too, you know, like to have the different layout right there. Okay, so those are the good items, right? Now let's get into the obvious one here in system configuration. First one is display settings. This is also a multiboxing thing too. You want to make sure that your extra characters are at least set to 30 FPS, right? Or just leave it at 60, and then within you know, Isboxer or whatnot, make sure that the followers never go below 30. It's really important if you're worried about performance on your characters, they need to be at least 30 FPS. If they drop below 30, you will notice some issues with staggering. Let me give you an example. Like if I move my guys like this, right, and I move them back over here and back and forth, and I'm just moving them, you know, as opposed to like the whole group, they won't move fluidly. Like it'll get all junky. Super junky, like, and you just can't do mechanics when you're doing a boss fight. Like it's not gonna work. So 30 FPS, like we used to get by with that in World of Warcraft. I know, forbidden at this point, right, to talk about, but using 15 FPS, it was totally doable. And in Final Fantasy, if you can get away with it, you need to have it at 30 FPS. And if you have an amazing machine, slapping that bad boy at 60 FPS, you're going to be noticing a pretty nice improvement in terms of performance. And when I say performance, like this game is very, very ping dependent on latency when you're spamming your abilities. And especially for multiboxing, a lot of your abilities are not going to be the generic abilities. They're going to be within a macro, right? To make that as smooth as possible. You need to make sure you're hitting it and it's going off when you hit it. All right. Next item. This is the obvious one here, right? Sound settings. If you're, you don't want this on anyways, but if you're a solo player, I'm not sure if this is going to help you, but turn off the sound on your additional characters. Like there is no reason it needs to be on. It just creates an echo chamber and it takes up processing power. Not sure that even is disputable at this point, right? It's going to hurt your FPS. Just turn that bad boy off. Okay, graphics. This is the obvious, I think, of the most obvious to fix, right? Like if you're trying to like make things smooth. So you want to turn off everything as much as possible. So on my main character, I have a few things turned on, but if I show you my other characters, right? Let's go with Tuesday. Graphic settings, custom, right? Enable what surface effects? I would even maybe turn this one off, right? You don't need that one on. Disable rendering, make sure that's on. Use low detail models, make sure that's for sure on. Now the next one, real time, off. Next one, edge smoothing, off. Transparent lighting quality, normal. Grass quality, off. Parallax occlusion, normal. Tessellation, normal. If I say any of these words wrong, I apologize. Glare, off. That's always a common joke on stream, is that I cannot enunciate things correctly. Map resolution, normal. This is a big one. Shadows, hide everything, even your own character. And then check the box for use low detail models. The lowest you can pick here for resolution is low. This was a big hit when they required you to have shadows. My machine used to be able to handle this game back in 2015 pretty easy. Then 2017, I think it was 2017, they required shadows, and it was a noticeable hit. Like I came back to the game and I was like, oh my god, I can't play it. Like what's going on? I had to upgrade at that point, right? Off on the shadow cascading, shadow softening, weak. Texture detail. I guess you can go with bilinear. I'm not sure why this is on the top one. You can drop that down even further. And then for movement physics, to get even better performance, you could literally turn everything off. It's going to look a little weird, but at the same time, you're not looking at these characters. If this is your main character, you kind of want to leave some of it on, right? You want to leave yourself on full, and you can leave theirs on simple. And then effects, off, everything here, right? And then turn off enable depth of field. Like you don't need any of that extra stuff. So now we're going to go to the most important, that's really hidden. I don't know why this one is hidden, right? But this one is massive. And you know what? This is on the wrong setting. I wonder if this character didn't get the right settings. So let's see. Okay, good. Okay, good. So this should be character and object quantity. You want this on minimum, right? This is what causes the most lag in the game, and it's hidden in system settings, other settings, and then within the middle of it, right? Display limits. If you put it on minimum, it will cap out it will load on your screen the least amount of items it can in terms of people, right? So if you go into town, you're only going to see like 15 people, and then it caps out and it won't load anybody else that's further away. So you can still see all the NPCs; they're still going to load and whatnot, but it no longer causes your game to like chug. There's no chugging involved there, and that one setting change right here like made a world of a difference. Where this went from me not being able to stream on one PC to being able to stream for that. So I'm imagining for laptops and whatnot, that's the big one. Other than that, I should have found this as well, but you want to, and I'm not even sure where it's at. I think it's under character configuration. You want to turn off spells for other players. Like you only want your own spells. You want minimal on theirs. I forgot where it's located now. I'm terrible about this. Hold on. I have no idea where it is. HUD. I'm gonna find it here. Golly, I know if you know where it's at. This is terrible, right? But yeah. But anyways, there's a section where it shows what the other characters. I put it on minimal. Oh goodness, it's not movement physics. I don't know. It's in here though. You know. Anyways, that's how to get this game to play as smooth as possible. I know that's kind of janky, wanky, all over the place, but you know what? I've been meaning to make a video on this, and I hope this helps you out. It's made a huge change for myself. So if it helps you, good. If not, that's okay too. But thanks. All right.